Okay. So, how do you avoid falling into this trap of using AI when it's not required, or what I call like over engineering a problem and trying to use too much of AI when in a certain approach when it's not required. So the headline says it all, right? Because basically, whatever gains that you have from using AI, those are lost because of I mean, to put it simply, because of rework, right? And I wanted to take some scenarios and practically like just some thoughts on how that actually spans out. So I'm going to be going to AI Central. Okay, so I wanted to explain a few scenarios in which this whole risk of over engineering happens. Okay, so to give an example, if you want to do competition analysis with respect to ranking, how you're ranking on Google, well, you can ask LLM to look at like these 50 phrases, look at the top companies who are websites which are ranking, and then compare it with yours. I mean, you can ask it to do all this exhaustive analysis, but it is just simpler if you like invest in something like CMrush, which will give it to you ready made. So when you go down that path of trying to do something which has already been done by some other tool and which actually requires a whole host of tools and scrapers and knowledge, right? So that's it's not required. It's just simpler to invest in the license for that job. So that's over engineering. You should not go down that path. That's one scenario. The other one which comes to my mind is using LLMs to build the messaging threads for ABM, account based marketing, or basically whenever the stakes are high. Right. So let's take LinkedIn messaging. Right. So LinkedIn messaging is something which the stakes are high, right? So you already, the other person has connected to you, and it just makes sense that you as a person send that LinkedIn message as opposed to using an LLM to do that. It's just best to do it yourself. So that's another scenario where I thought it's really not required. The third one is using an agent when actually a prompt would would have worked, right? So I'm on the agent library section, and this one is very relevant for agencies, right? So any kind of it could be you could be doing any kind of marketing work. I mean, let's take content work. The uh, first couple of weeks should be spent more in the prompt studio, I would say, where you are actually using prompts, sharing it with your team. You are seeing how you're seeing the output of the prompts, and then it makes sense to make an agent, right? So again, it's an example of uh, taking the time to build something specialized when it's not required, and this is especially when you're setting things up, and hence the context of agencies. This is what when you say over engineering, right? These are three scenarios which came to my mind, and it applies for any department. There will be scenarios when you should not fall into the trap of using AI, because it's just, and I'll be sharing that article link below as the comment, but it just saves the time of rework, and it will save the time of some other department, right? You're just pushing the approval and the rework time to some other department, while you think it's your life is temporarily easy, but it's actually, if you look at it as a system, it's not improving things. Thanks.